Through a statewide network of educators, Kansas State Research and Extension provides practical, trustworthy information, skills, and assets to help the communities, businesses, families, and individuals of all ages improve quality of life, solve problems, and make a positive difference. In the Post Rock Extension District, we serve North Central Kansas, and we have offices in Beloit, Lincoln, Mankato, Osborne, and Smith Center.
Hi, Post Rock Extension District. I'm Nora Rhoades, your District Director, and I am here today with Cassie, our Horticulture Extension Agent, and today we are going to be talking about gardening in the winter season. And you might be wondering why we're talking about things growing in the winter season, but Cassie's going to be here today to share with us some things that you can focus on in the winter. So what is something in January that our gardeners and growers can start to be thinking about further?
Yeah, so the new year is one of my favorite times of the season because it's seed catalog time.
Yes.
So lots of seed catalogs have been coming into my mailbox, and it's just a really fun time to kind of look through them because it's cold out right now. We just got some ice and snow yesterday.
Right.
So it's fun to like sit inside with your coffee and your seed catalog.
So you can beat the winter blues by dreaming of your vibrant and growing gardens with your seed catalog. So how do you access a seed catalog, or where do you find a seed catalog?
Sure. So if you've ever ordered from a company before, you'll automatically get their seed catalog. But you can also go on any website that sells seeds and request a catalog. So a lot of times they're free.
All right.
I like to go on and request quite a few just so I have lots of reading to do in the winter. They're really beautiful catalogs. A lot of times they're really colorful and have lots of pictures. So if you're not getting catalogs in your mail, I definitely recommend going online to some of those seed sellers and requesting catalogs.
And seed sellers, like, they all just kind of provide a general catalog, or are there more specific catalogs that you can look for?
Most of them do have one pretty large general one, but if you're interested in just tomatoes, there's tomato sellers. If you're interested in native plants or bulbs, they all have specific websites and catalogs you can order. Okay,
and so these would be for buying the seeds. If you're going to buy an actual plant, that's probably not something that you want to buy and have shipped to you. You probably want to look for your plants at your local greenhouse.
That's what I would definitely recommend. You will notice that some catalogs do offer transplants to sell, but that can be a little scary, especially with our mail. Sometimes things don't show up in the best shape. So if you want to just get a transplant, like a tomato plant to put right in your garden, I would go to your local greenhouse or nursery.
Okay, so awesome. So we're looking for seeds for our 2020 gardens. What types of things in this catalog do we need to pay attention to as we're making our choices?
Sure. Well, it's easy to get sucked into them. So even though it is fun to look through them and kind of dream, there are lots of new and exciting things, and so you can get kind of overwhelmed.
Yes.
So I recommend making a list, but also think about what your family actually likes to eat.
Right.
So don't go too crazy. If your family doesn't like artichokes, don't order a bunch of artichokes, even though they look beautiful in the catalog. You won't use them over the summer. So think about the recipes you use and the things that your family really enjoys.
Okay. So when you're looking at some seeds and you've narrowed down what types of food you want to grow, what types of symbols and things inside the catalog do you want to pay attention to?
Sure. Well, some of them have quite a few symbols. Sometimes they'll even have a guide at the beginning that you might want to look through just so you know kind of what you're dealing with.
Right.
Some of them have all organic seeds. It just kind of depends on what catalog you got. But the main two things you might want to think about is if you have an heirloom or a hybrid seed. And basically, I mean, they're both good. I don't recommend one over the other. Heirlooms, they're really old seeds. They've been passed down for generation and generation. A lot of times you'll hear gardeners say that they have really good taste and flavor. But they sometimes can be difficult to grow. So you get lots of good taste, but sometimes those heirloom tomatoes might get more disease or more bugs.
Right.
The hybrids are good as well. They might not be quite as flavorful, but they are long-lasting, and they produce a lot of fruit. They've been bred. They have 2 parent plants that they've been bred by, and you'll really get some good production out of them.
Okay. Do the catalogs really focus on Kansas, or are they more of like a national type of catalog?
These catalogs are going everywhere. So yeah,
Okay.
it's not. I mean, there might be a few that sell locally or to the Midwest, but if you really want a good local recommendation, K-State has a publication.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So it's called Recommended Vegetable Varieties. So if you've always wanted to grow awesome cucumbers but have never done well with your cucumbers, you might try a variety on this list.
How do they come up with the list?
Yeah, these have been tested by K-State researchers, so they're proven to do well throughout Kansas.
Okay.
So they've been tested throughout the state, and they should do really well in your garden.
Now, Cassie, if someone is sitting down here in this winter season and opening up their seed catalog, and they're a little confused, are you someone that they can call and, to help walk through that process on a more individualized consultation basis?
Absolutely, yes. I love gardening, and I love helping people garden, so I'm happy to help you plan out your garden.
And interpret, K-State research and translate that into what seed purchase you should make. Okay.
Right.
Awesome. So you're going to buy your seeds here, and then obviously that probably means we want to plant them. We're thinking, some people might plant straight in the garden, but some people might want to start their seeds ahead of time. So the winter or the early part of spring is when we're thinking of our seed starting. What types of tips would you have in that regard?
Okay, so yeah, once you make your order, they might come in right away. Some of them might not come in until a little bit closer till springtime. But the thing you want to think about is if you're going to just plant those seeds directly into your garden, or if you're wanting to start some of them indoors.
Okay.
So things like tomatoes, peppers, you want to start them indoors probably, so you have a nice transplant to put in your garden.
So not everything does well starting indoors.
No, some of them are great to put right into your garden.
Okay.
So.
And is that clarified in a seed catalog?
Yeah, most of them will kind of tell you. Again, there's really nice charts in the back a lot of times that'll tell you if it should be direct sown into your garden or started indoors earlier.
Okay. So if you're picking a plant or a seed, that variety that is good for indoor starting, what are some things to consider? Like, when do you start your seeds indoors?
Sure. So there is a little bit of science and calculation behind that. It's not very hard. But you don't want to start them too early, obviously, or they'll kind of get too big in your home. And you don't want to start them too late, or you won't have enough time outdoors. So you want to think about when you generally have your last frost date.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard for us. I usually say mid-May is really safe.
Okay, for your last frost date.
Yeah, usually, at the beginning of May, we might still have a couple cold days, maybe not a hard frost, but if you want to be really safe, somewhere around there.
Okay.
So when you're using that date, then you want to kind of count backwards to decide when to start your seeds in your home.
Okay.
So I like to use tomatoes, for example. They take about 6 to 8 weeks from the time that you sow them in your home to growing a nice transplant for the garden.
Okay.
So if you're thinking about like middle of May 17th or so as your date to put in your garden, you need to count back about 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
So that would be around April, middle of April or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's really the science behind it. And then you can gauge, what type of seed you're going to purchase and when that needs to ship to you and whatnot with that. So what other tips with planting seeds and things do you have?
Yeah, I just suggest you have fun. And that chart is really helpful, but it's not an exact.
Right.
We can never tell you when the last frost date will be.
Welcome to Kansas.
Yeah, who knows, our crazy weather. So it doesn't have to be exactly that. It's kind of an experiment every year. But yeah, and I did say plant what your family likes, but it's also fun to try 1 or 2 new things. I was looking at this catalog over lunchtime, and it said they had over 150 new varieties.
Wow.
So that's pretty tempting to try something new.
So it can be trying maybe a new variety of something that your family loves, like a different type of tomato or something, but it can also be trying a new vegetable that maybe you'd like to introduce to your family as good.
Yeah, that's part of the fun of gardening, and who knows, it might be a failure, it might not work as well. It's probably, if they're new and exciting varieties, it might not be on our recommended list yet, but you could still give it a try. It could do really well.
Be part of the research here.
Yeah.
And I know you're always out working with gardeners throughout the gardening season, and you love hearing from our gardeners, what new things they tried, what worked well, and whatnot. So we have a Master Gardener program in the Post Rock District. Do you want to share a little bit about what that Master Gardener program is?
Sure, yeah. We have a few Master Gardeners. We like to go out and kind of help our communities do some beautification projects. And basically what it is you're trained through K-State, so by our specialists, you're basically receiving a miniature horticulture degree.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really fun. And so the trainings are in Salina, but they're really worth it. Yeah, you learn a lot. You get a huge book of information that you get to keep, and then you can share all that with your community members and become a volunteer.
Great. So you work with volunteers in our communities as well to make sure that we have healthy yards and healthy gardens and whatnot. So that's a great thing. So in the winter months, what are some other things in the garden that you can do to plan and prepare?
Sure. So it's fun to just kind of sketch out your garden. And it doesn't have to be very fancy. You can just get a pencil and a notepad and just kind of draw it out. That way you kind of know where you're going to put things.
Okay.
Sometimes it's nice to have that idea in mind before you start going out and digging your holes for your plants. It's also good just to know how much you might need. You can plant an extra row of something and send that to the food pantry.
Right.
Or some of our boxes, we have Gardening for the Greater Good, which is a program where you can donate your extra produce. So yeah.
Yeah, so planning your garden, kind of making a blueprint, essentially, will help you decide how many seeds you need.
Right.
If you're able to, grow for the good of others, Gardening for the Greater Good is an awesome give back program. And then you might also recognize some supplies that you might need to buy and get ready. Yeah, that's great. Are there any upcoming educational programs in horticulture related topics that you'd like to share with the public today?
Sure. So we have a really exciting program coming to Beloit.
Awesome.
And it is a farmer's market workshop.
Okay.
So if you want to sell any of your produce or do sell or are interested in selling produce, it's a great workshop for you. There's going to be an awesome growers panel, so you can learn from people around our region that are masters in growing and they know what they're doing. But just kind of learn some of the rules and regulations around selling your produce.
And what's the date for that?
February 28th.
Okay, so save the date for that, and you can go to our Post Rock website to find details on that. Now, this is a state program that they chose to host in Beloit. So we are really excited as the Post Rock Extension District to be able to have that in our region. And it's also something to take note of and plan that date on your calendar, because next year it might not be as close to your garden as it is this year. So it's definitely something to take advantage of here in the winter months. And it's a great time to focus on education and planning in the winter, so that when the summer months are here, you don't say, well, I wish I would have spent more time planning.
Right.
And you can spend that time out getting in the garden, getting your hands dirty and working on, and then enjoying the recipes that you can make from your bounties. So with that winter season, we have a lot of ag producers too they're not in the field as much, and calving season hasn't quite started. We're not planting and whatnot. So a lot of ag producers are focusing on their education and planning, and our crop production agent is really working on bringing some educational programs to the Post Rock District and surrounding region. And so you can go to the Post Rock Extension District's website, and right on that front page you can scroll and you can see a listing of all of our upcoming events, whether you are a crop producer or a rancher in the region. And I also wanted to take a moment to share with you that we do have some career opportunities in the Post Rock Extension District. Very soon, you will be seeing some opportunities to work in the Post Rock District as extension agents focused on livestock production and family resource management. So be watching for that. We are working with the state to get those career opportunities advertised. There is a regional position, a 4-H youth development position for Northwest Kansas that K-State Research and Extension is advertising for. So if you have a passion for youth development, that may be something that you want to explore. And then there'll be some other opportunities that we will be sharing on the Post Rock District website. You can always keep up with what's happening on our Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter accounts as well. So I just wanted to give a little plug for that we have some great professional opportunities that are coming here for anyone that might be interested, but also to serve you, our Post Rock District communities and families and gardeners and producers and business leaders. So, Cassie, is there anything else that you'd like to touch on in regards to horticulture, gardening in the winter months?
It's a fun time to do it because it is kind of dreary outside, and looking through these catalogs, it really gets your mind in the mood for spring. So yeah, and if you have any questions, I'm here to help, and I love gardening, I love planting. So
yeah, last week you did an awesome educational live video on houseplants and some tips and tricks on how to take care of them, but also how there's a lot of research out there that shows that plants are really beneficial for our health and wellness. And so we are very grateful to have a horticulture extension agent as awesome as Cassie out here in the Post Rock District serving you and yours. So Post Rock District, I just want to wish you guys all a great rest of the week, and we look forward to learning and growing with you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Post Rock Adventures. We will continue to help our difference makers thrive in Jewell, Lincoln, Mitchell, Osborne, and Smith counties in north central Kansas. Until next time.